Hello and welcome to College Algebra. My name is Professor Lewis. This is spring 2021 and I want to tell you a little bit about our syllabus. So please print your syllabus and read the whole thing, but I do want to just voice a couple of things that I think are important from there. So going through that, starting on page 1, again, my name is Karen Lewis or Professor Lewis, and um, the best way to reach me is the Canvas inbox. I do have my email address right here, but that email address does get really bogged down by staff emails and college emails. So I use that Canvas inbox strictly for you guys so that I can keep track of those really well and make sure I'm responding really promptly. So the best way to reach me is the Canvas inbox. That one's just for my students, and then I'll be able to respond really quickly. You can also send a message to me on my phone. Text messaging is great. My number is 661-436-5466. So I'm not always at the computer to see that Canvas inbox pop up, but my phone is usually on me. So you can text me. If it's not a good time, then I won't respond yet, but I'll get the message fast. For the live class, the classroom is always the same Zoom room, so you can use this link and you can bookmark it and know that class and tests are always going to be in that same spot. It is optional, so if you prefer to use the recordings like this one, then I try to make a recording like this one for every class. And if I can't get to it before class to make a nice clean recording, then I will still post the Zoom class as well. So you'll be able to watch recordings if you're not able to make the live class. All right, so to use that Canvas inbox, you just go to the left bar of your Canvas and there's an inbox right here. Just click that and you'll be able to message me from there. You can also message your classmates from there, I believe. And then to get to that classroom, there's a couple different ways to do it. You can just use this URL right here and just type that in and bookmark it for later use. Or you can go over to modules, and that second, right under your syllabus, this will actually say spring for your class. Right, that second thing under the top module is the Zoom classroom link. So that's always there. So you always have a link to the classroom. Okay, so your textbook is College Algebra, 4th edition by Cynthia Young. With the new Wiley Plus. So it's called the new Wiley Plus. There's actually two versions of Wiley Plus. There's the legacy version of Wiley Plus and the new version. Different professors at COC use different versions, so make sure that you get new Wiley Plus access. So if you go to the bookstore at COC and you say, your Professor Luer's class or your section ID number, then they'll give you that right book. So when you get that book, they'll also give you, it comes with an access code. So when you go to the computer, you put that access code in, and then you have the access to this new Wiley Plus. Our tests and quizzes are going to be in there. So you'll definitely need to have access to that in order to be able to take the tests. So you can also get the book elsewhere, but just make sure that you get access to that new Wiley Plus. There's even an online version, which you'll see in the email. The syllabus that's printed. There is an online only version that's $50 with their code, which is the details of that are in the syllabus. I don't recommend it just because some things are a little harder to see. The formatting's kind of weird sometimes, but I can always send you pictures as needed. There's some math type errors and that kind of thing. So it's really nice to have that hard copy, but if it's easier for you to have the online only version and there's problems with the formatting, then you can just message me and I can always send you a screenshot of, a picture of the that page from the textbook. Okay, so you also need a scientific calculator. That needs to be separate from your phone because you'll need to use it on your tests, and you can't use your phone on the test. So not the phone. You can use your phone app on the homework, but not on the test. So you'll want to have a scientific calculator ready for the test. And then you'll need a computer with a microphone and a camera so that on the test, we're going to meet in Zoom, and you'll have to have your microphone on and your camera on to proctor the test. And then I would like, if you're attending the live again, these attendance at the live Zooms are optional, but if you do attend, I would like you to have a small whiteboard. It does make working together a little easier. It's hard to see each other's paper. So on camera, you can always like do a problem on the whiteboard and show it on the camera. So that makes it a little easier to communicate on Zoom. All right, your attendance is logged based on your classwork. So I don't actually take attendance as Zoom. I've mentioned a couple times already that it's optional. Zoom is optional. So in order to count your attendance, I look to see, well, did you submit your classwork? I mean, you could have watched the videos, or you could have come to class, or you could have just read the textbook. But as long as you're submitting that classwork assignment, then you'll get attendance. And that is the only way I log attendance. So even if you come to Zoom, I don't take attendance at Zoom. So if you come to Zoom but you don't submit anything, you're not going to get credit for attendance. And so that is due by 12 o'clock, or 11:59, I should say. So let's do 11:59 p.m. So same day as class. That counts as your attendance. It's 2 points per day, or actually it's per lesson, not even every day, just per lesson. So I don't assign classwork on test days. If you miss more than 3 days of classwork, that will count as missing more than 3 class meetings, and then you could get dropped from the course per the COC guidelines. But remember that if you are intending to drop, don't just stop showing up and count on me to drop you. Make sure that you take that responsibility and you follow those deadlines to date. Those deadlines are in your syllabus. All right, so to get attendance for that first day of school on February 8th, you need to complete the Lesson 1 classwork, which will be posted on February 8th. Okay. All right, so I grade this whole class out of 1,000 points, and I do that to make it easier to think about what each point's real value is. So if I miss 5 points on a test, I know that means it's half a percentage point. If I miss 10 points, if I miss a 10-point question on a test, I know that's 1% of my final grade. So 1,000 points total. So every point is 1/10 of a percentage point of your final grade. I do have a kind of generous grading scale. As you can see, it's a little non-traditional here. The C starts at 65%. The B starts at 78%. So with that more generous scale, I also do not round up, which means if you want to get that B, you need to get exactly 780 points. That's exactly 78. So 77.9% or 779 points, that's a C. So I'm not going to round up. But you have the power, with knowing exactly the value of every point, you have the power to count your points and make sure you get exactly the points you need for your desired grade. Okay, so we use the point system, no rounding. Exams. So there's 5 unit exams total and then 1 final exam. So I typically call those unit exams tests because they're a little smaller than an exam, but sometimes I use those words interchangeably by error. We'll be taking those in the Zoom classroom. You'll have your mic and camera on, but you can turn off your headset, the sound, so that you're not distracted by other people's mics. And you can even turn off, you can put on, I don't know how you could turn off the videos. I don't think you can, but you can turn off the sound so you don't have to listen, but you do have to have your mic on and your camera on, and we'll talk more about that as the test gets closer. So that's going to be during our class window, 3:15 to 5:40 on test days. They're usually about 2 hours long, but I give you until 5:40, so you have 2.5 hours to do your test. No breaks though. So if you do need a break, you think that you can't sit for 2 hours without a break, you can stand up and stretch, that kind of thing, but you can't leave the camera. So if you do decide you need a break, then you need to contact me before the test and I can reformat the test so you have a built-in break into your test. But during the test, there's no notes, no books, no phones. So you got to have that separate calculator, but you can have a pencil and a blank paper. You're going to write your problems out, showing your work. You answer the questions in the computer, but you can show your work on paper and then submit that for partial credit. Okay, so no test scores get dropped. If you happen to miss a test, then I will, or even if you don't miss a test, even if you just bomb a test, or even if you just, whatever reason, that your grade would be improved by using your final grade. So if I will replace your lowest test grade with the final exam grade, if that helps your grade. So if you have one bomb test or one absence, not the end of the world, but then it puts more weight on that final grade, final exam grade. If you do know you're going to miss a test before the test date, then let me know early, and then I can give you that test early so that you don't have to rely on that drop. All right, classwork may be completed by watching, not classwork, this is actually the class attendance, I should say. You can watch the recordings that I'll try to post every day or every class, or you can attend my live sessions in Zoom, or you can just work through that textbook, which has some interactive videos in it built in. So that's how you can attend class. And then while you're doing that, I want you to be fully engaged, thinking critically, actively listen, especially in the Zoom sessions. That's where I can really see this happening. I make a lot of mistakes during class, so I call her Professor Oopsie. Comes in and she always is making oopsies. And when you guys are like, hey, that something's not right here, or oh, can you explain how you got that? That lets me know, oh, you caught that. And that saves us a couple different things. It saves Professor Oopsie has to get kicked out of the room. And also, it saves you, the rest of your class, from taking notes on a mistake. So catch those errors by being actively listening and thinking critically. So while we're working through a problem, you should be able to catch the error before it gets too far. So we're relying on each other to catch each other's errors, and every member of the classroom is thinking critically, not just one relying on perfection. And then as you're working through that, you'll get your classwork assignment, which would probably look like your class notes and then the sum activity. So the classwork is based on a classwork which will be assigned during class. That's 2 points each. So each lesson has 2 points. There's 18 lessons total. I'll drop the lowest one, so you end up getting graded on 17 lessons. So each lesson or each lesson day has 2 points for that class. And then that completion of that classwork, when you submit that, that's how you get attendance for that class. Okay. Now for your homework, I recommend you get a spiral notebook so you can keep all your homework and use it to study for the exam and keep it in an organized way. I'm pretty strict about how homework is completed because it's really the backbone, I guess, of how we learn in this class, right? The tests and quizzes are very like a little snapshot, and we don't have a lot of, classwork is also just kind of a snapshot. So homework is where you get that independent practice and learning. So I'm really strict about how that homework looks. I want to make sure you complete it in pencil. When you use pen on homework, it gets sloppy. You can't erase. You need that quick ability to kind of like you're writing a 2 and then you accidentally write a 3. You need to be able to quickly flip your pen with your hand and erase it and then change it to a 3 and not lose your train of thought. So it's really important to do math in pencil. And for me to be able to grade your work in Canvas, it's going to be uploaded to Canvas. And it gets kind of hard to see all the pages and figure out what I'm looking at. So I'm going to ask that you please include that section number on the top of every page, because sometimes pages get out of order or I just can't figure out what I'm looking at. So that'll be really helpful to me. Also, if you could show the original question. This one is not, some questions are really long, so you wouldn't need to do that. But don't just write 2, for example, not just the answer where you're just getting the answer from the back of the book kind of thing. So I need to see that you're doing the whole question. So I prefer to have that original question visible, easy to follow work, easy to find solution, and box or circle around that final solution. But I'm not going to be grading these. I'm going to scan these for completeness. You're going to be the one grading these. So these have to be self-graded and self-corrected. So when you self-grade it, this is really important. I'm going to check every homework really has this. You're going to use a C if it's correct. I want every problem marked. So if I have like, say I say 1 through 10 odds, then you have 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 in your work here. Okay, if it's correct, you mark it with a C. That looks like a no. Mark it with a C. And if it's wrong, mark it with an X. And I need to see those C's and X's every problem so I know that you really took the time to check it. I'm going to provide you with those correct answers, either with the book or if the book doesn't have the answer, then I'll provide it to you. So when an answer is correct, you mark your C and then you're done with it. If it's incorrect, you mark it with an X and you go back and do that problem again the correct way. You can ask me for help. You can look at the solutions because you'll actually have the worked out solutions, not just the answers. So you can look at the solution and see if you can fix it yourself. If you don't understand the solution, you can send me a message and ask me. I can make a recording, or if it's just a quick explanation, I might just respond to your message. You can ask a classmate for help. So there's a couple different ways to get help, but you need to correct it. So you get the X, and I want to see that X in pen, in a colored pen, so that it pops out in that scan. It's not just a gray pen or a black pen where I can't tell what's the difference between pencil and pen. And then correct it in colored pen, and then you can mark it with a C too. But I want to see these X's and C's, okay? If I get your homework and it has just C's down or no marks at all, then, and assuming it's all perfect, you just got everything right the first try, that's pretty suspicious. But when I give you your test, I would expect 100%. So that's going to hold yourself to a very high standard. So please be honest about your homework rather than just copying the solutions, since you have all the solutions in your back of your book. Make sure you use those X's and C's and be critically grade your own homework because that's the way you learn. All right. And then you'll scan it in a single PDF. There's a video in the first module about how to make a PDF. There's more than one way, but I show you one way. If you need help figuring out how to make a scanned PDF, then we can meet in Zoom and go over that. And homework is 1 point for each section. Usually a class has 2 sections, so that'd be 2 points per day. And it is a requirement in order to take the quiz. So even more important than getting that 1 point, because it's quite a bit of work for one little point, but it prepares you for that quiz. And you can't take the quiz unless you've done your homework. When you take your quiz, that's going to be 3 points. That's on our next slide. So make sure you complete that homework so that you can take your quiz. If you take the quiz and skip the homework, then I won't give you any points for the quiz. So after you submit that self-corrected homework to Canvas, then you can take your quiz. A quiz is only accepted if you have already submitted the homework, including those self-corrections. So make sure you do it like this, or else I will turn your homework back to you, and then you won't be able to take the quiz anyway. All right, so quizzes. So these are a lot more points. So 3 times more points of the homework, but they're short. They're just like a little snapshot of your homework. But the homework is on paper and pencil. The quizzes are in the computer, and they have the same format as the test. So they are acting as kind of a bridge between the homework and the test, so that you take the knowledge that you got from the homework and make sure you're able to answer that in the format of the test. So it's kind of like a little mini practice test every day. So again, your quiz is only accepted if you have already submitted your homework. Every section has a homework and a quiz. 1 quiz per section, so that's 3 points each. And then sometimes I'll do a survey, like at the test, we'll kind of do a check-in. How are things going? What's working? What's not? Kind of survey. Those are 3 points each as well, for a total of 129 points. So there's 34 sections. So each of those are 3 points, and then our 6 surveys. That doesn't quite work out. Maybe there's not 34 sections. Maybe I got that number wrong. I don't know how many sections there are. 37. I think there's 37 sections. So 37 section quizzes and then 6 surveys. I think that's right. All right. So typically every day you have class. So you can choose how you want to do that, attending Zoom live or watching the videos or just working through that textbook as an independent study type format. And during class, you'll complete that classwork. You probably want to look at what the classwork is before you, if you're doing videos, you probably want to print the classwork first, because I think that that classwork may be in the form of having some notes in there. And then you'll have your homework, which is handwritten in pencil and then self-corrected in a pen. And you have to do the homework before you can take the quiz. And then the quiz is one quiz per section. So since homework and quizzes are per section, and usually on a given day we usually have about 2 sections, that means there might be 2 homeworks on a day and 2 quizzes on a day. I think one day we might even have 3 sections. So 2 or 3 homeworks and 2 or 3 quizzes per class meeting. But there's only one classwork per class meeting. All right. So our quizzes, again, are pulled from your homework. They're similar to the problems that you're given on your homework, but they're in the format of the test. So they're that bridge between your homework and your test. All right. So there's a couple ways to get in support in this class. So there are some non-credit math classes. These are fantastic. I think they're about 8 to 10 hours each, and they're, I think I have a slide on it. There they are. They're free of charge. There's no prereqs. It's pass fail. You can always drop if it doesn't work out for you. They don't appear on your transcript. 100% online at your own pace. It's independent study type. You do have a fantastic instructor there who gives you feedback. And 10 hours. There it is. 10 hours of instruction per course. So if you do feel like you have a gap in one of these topics, I think there might even be more. Here, there's 2 more now. Then these are a fantastic option. So these I've got a lot of really good feedback about these classes. And then we have the TLC, or the Learning Center. That's the TLC, the Learning Center. So they have free tutoring. So you go in and you can just drop in tutoring. So and this is Zoom room. So you click on the Learning Center right here, and they take you to a Zoom room, and that's kind of like a lobby. And someone will say, "Hey, welcome to the Learning Center," and you'll say, "Hi, I'm looking for some help in college algebra." And they'll say, "Okay, I will give you a tutor," and then they put you into a private room with a tutor. So it's just like you just drop in and get to that live tutoring. So their hours are a little limited. I'll post those hours as soon as I get them. I think right now online we have the fall hours, but I think those might be the same for the spring. Not sure yet. So great free Zoom tutoring at the Learning Center. When they are closed, you can click on the online tutoring, and then there's what is it called? I think it's called Net Tutor, and that's a little different than the Zoom room, but it's a kind of a backup plan. So when the Learning Center is closed, online tutoring is open, so Net Tutor. One problem with that is with Net Tutor, you can leave a question, which is really cool, but then they're closed when the Learning Center. So if it's late at night and you send them a question, then when you go to check for an answer in the morning, they'll be closed because you'll have to wait because the Learning Center is open. So you have to wait until they reopen to get that answer. So Net Tutor, I think, has live tutoring as well as a leave your question here type tutoring. So there's a backup plan. So you always have somewhere to go 24 hours a day. You can also message me anytime. So I think these are not going to be for our class. So I'm going to cross that one off. GLAs, however, are online. Those are guided learning activities to kind of to focused, if you have trouble with fractions, you can get a GLA on fractions, for example. All right, and then there's recording. So this is where I feel like I help the most. If you're having a problem with a certain topic or a certain problem, you can send me a message. Say, Professor Lewis, can you do problem number 33 on section 1.2? And I would be happy to record that. And I have a database here. You can click on that from your course in Math 103. And it's actually a double click. Like you click on it, but it takes you to an external site. So it's going to make you click something again. It's like this opens at an external site or something like that. And it takes you to my Excel sheet where you just see a ton of recordings. So I will add to that database as people request it. Some of those recordings might have a little error in it, and you can, if you find an error, just let me know so I can update that recording. I try to make those pretty quick. So if you message me, I try to get back to you like within a couple hours. So sometimes that results in an error. So I've caught a couple errors. So let me know if you see an error. But that is one way to get help from me. So message me. I'll make a quick recording and send it back to you, and I'll put it in this database, and I'll say, okay, I put that recording in the database for you. And then you'll just go here to get that. And then there's Zoom support. So if you're like, hey, I really need help with section 1.1, can we meet? Then I will be happy to meet with you. There's office hours on Thursdays, 1:45 to 2:35. But if that doesn't work for you, then message me and we'll make a private session. Or if you have some co-students that want to work together, then you can do that. You can also make Zoom rooms on your own, like free Zoom rooms. And there's like a 45-minute meeting time limit, I think. And then you can form study groups on your own, which I highly recommend. All right, and then there's a Zoom live class. These are optional. Some people love that Zoom live action, and some people really prefer the recordings. So I want you to learn with the way that you learn best. So this is only for the students who really prefer that live interaction and want to join the live section. I don't want you to be forced to be there, and Zoom can be quite painful if you don't want to be there. So, if it works for you, great. And please come join. So Monday, Wednesday, 3:15 to 5:40 is the Math 130 class. And then, of course, we also have 93 at 1:45 to 3:05. And that link is in your course tools, which we saw on the first slide. So that is recorded. So I'll post that recording after class. So if you like it, but you can't be there, then it'll be there for you that evening. And it is most effective when everyone participates, just as you would in a classroom. So when you come to a classroom, then you're not hiding behind a black box. Your camera's on. So, well, you don't have a camera on you, but everyone can see you, and I can see your facial expression. That's a really important interaction in the classroom, to be able to see each other's faces. But for some reason, when the camera's on, somehow we're all a little more self-conscious about being seen or being heard. So we hide behind the camera and we use the text box instead of our microphone. So I'm going to say, if you do come to class, I really want you to use that camera and use your mic to speak, and bring that whiteboard so you're able to kind of show your work and we can work together. That's going to make those Zoom sessions more effective. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Also, it's for me. I know that everybody struggles with this teaching online, but for me, the hardest thing is teaching to little black boxes that don't have any facial expression. There's no way for me to know if you're with me, if you've like stepped away and you're in the bathroom now, or if you're on the phone, or if you're completely lost, or if you're like doing the problems with me. So being able to see your facial expression, being able to see you looking down and when you're writing and when you stop writing. So I know I can move on. So I know when you're behind and when you're that being able to see you is just so important. So I say facial expression, but it's not even just that. It's also, if I'm giving notes, then I can look up and I can see students writing, and I can see when they're done writing, and I know when to move on. So being able to see you is really important. And when you're in Zoom, if you don't want to see the whole class and you just want to see the speaker, then you can turn it on to speaker view only. but it helps me. Then that way I can still see my whole class, because that's what I need to see to be able to be an effective teacher. So if you do come to the Zoom live classes, please turn on that camera, be willing to turn on the mic to speak, and be willing to bring that whiteboard. 2 and 3 are not quite as important as 1. I do like them all, but I really need to see that camera. I need to see your face while I'm teaching you. All right, and then page 7 of your syllabus has our schedule. So I sent you a syllabus a week early, and I have a little typo here where I did lesson 10 twice. So if you did get that early syllabus, make sure you reprint or just edit so you get 18 lessons rather than 17 lessons total. So this is our schedule. So our first day is highlighted in yellow. Our tests are highlighted in pink. And that's all I should say about that. I do keep this on the homepage, actually. So if the schedule does change, then you'll see that homepage change. Okay. And the next page of your syllabus is all your homework assignments. You can see I grouped all of Unit 1 as homework 1, all of Unit 2 as homework 2. And the reason I do that is so when you track so here I give this sheet where you can track your own grade. CW1 is all the classwork from all of Unit 1. Homework 1 is all the homework from all of Unit 1, and so on. So you're so there's 3 1-point assignments in there. There's 5 1-point assignments in Unit 3, so on. So another abbreviation that you don't want to miss is every other odd. Means every other odd. EOO means every other odd. So if you see for Unit 1, 1.1 assignment, you have 1 through 29 every other odd. So you're doing 1 and skip 3, and 5, skip 7, and so on. All right, that wraps up our syllabus. That's the end of the syllabus. That is the end of my slideshow. So please message me if you have any questions, and I can't wait to meet you on Monday.